Couple seats. It's a top chamber. It's really not a chamber. Someday we're going to have a chamber. Saying that if folks can't find a seat, yeah. No, I don't want to. I'll feel very uncomfortable. No, I can't do that. All right. We are going to open the regular meeting. I would ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I would ask Donna Mantello, my mom, to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Fathers died for everyone, unite and let freedom reign.
Thank you, John Vaccarello.
That's America.
Thank you, John. Thank you, John. John Vaccarello. Once again, thank you. Everybody, we do not good news commendation. We'll do roll call.
Councilmember Gulling.
Here.
Councilmember Ash McPherson.
Here.
Councilmember Steele. Here. Councilmember Cummings.
Here.
Councilmember Zaluski.
Here.
Councilmember McDermott. Here. Council President Mantello.
Here.
7 present, 0 absent.
Thank you. We'll go right into the legislative response. If I could ask council members, we have some reserved seats in front, and I will be with you in 2 seconds.
Oh, you know where Mango's at? Yeah, okay. I blinded him by the road.
I'm sure you'll be hands down.
You coming over here?
I am.
The old guys do this?
What's that?
The old guys on the council do this?
I am an old guy in the house.
I wanted other people to be able to come up.
I'm sure all 70 of the kids in that.
You can sit on your lap.
All right. As you can tell, this is a makeshift council chamber, and we're very informal. But I will be so kind to hand everybody. Some people like paper copy, except for Sam. We do have a seat up here, if anyone would like to come up here.
He's a little bit. I'm honest. I love it.
Well, all right. I was told I had about an hour and a half, so I hope all of you have some drink and popcorn. Good evening, everyone, and good evening, my fellow council colleagues, and I'll ask each of them to first stand up and introduce themselves by district.
District 1, Jim Gully, how you all doing? How's that?
District 2, Kanash McPherson. District 3, Sue Steele. 4, Anasha Cummings.
District 5, Ken Zaluski.
District 6, Eileen McDermott.
Some really good people there, folks, and you're going to hear some really cool stuff tonight. I'd like to thank our mayor. Mayor, if you could please stand and introduce yourself, that'd be great. I think his name's Patrick Madden. Also, the deputy mayor, if you could introduce yourself. I do, Kuzieski. It only took me 4 years. And our department heads. Mr. Caruso, if you could introduce yourself.
Caruso, Corporation Council.
Okay. I think our chief of the fire department might be here. Awesome, Chief McMahon. Woo-hoo. I think our chief from the police department might be here, Chief Owens. Thank you, Chief Owens. Thank you. For corralling the Rockets crowd out there. Also, I'm not sure if there's any other department heads. It's very tough to see. Okay. We do have our Troy Fire Department union rep, if you could introduce yourself. I'm not sure if my nephew, Nikki Laviano. Nikki, come in and introduce. Oh. Full disclosure, he is my nephew by marriage. Also, last but certainly not least, our city clerk, Mara Drogan. All right. All right, well, and more importantly, my family. Donna and Jim Mantello, if you could just stand. All right. Takes them a while, I guess. Okay, but thank you to my friends and all of the Troy residents that came out this evening. I do believe also IBEW, who's here from Building Trades, if you could stand, recognize. Woo! We have some interference. I was asked to push back. It has nothing to do with you. Thank you again. I'd like to personally thank all the folks joining us at home tonight. I know there are thousands on our YouTube live stream. For anyone following on Twitter, Instagram, please hashtag Troy Neighborhood Pride. That's going to be our theme tonight. In the upcoming days, the full text of the address will be posted online. I'm truly honored and humbled to be your first directly elected council president with a 4-year term. Sorry, council members, under the new charter. I want to thank the people of Troy for placing their trust in me. A very wise elected official and true public servant I'm honored to work for, Betty Little, once said, "Election day ends at midnight, thank goodness, for anyone that's run for office, and you work with the people the voters elected." I strongly believe in this, and I pledge to work with my colleagues and the mayor to help make our city a better place to live, work, and raise a family. I've asked the council members on both sides of the aisle, we tried something different this year, what they feel are the upcoming year's district and citywide priorities. The overwhelming tone was the need to improve our neighborhoods. It's truly inspiring to see the passion people have to improve our neighborhoods. I've lived my whole life in this city. I love this city. I breathe it. And every day I'm reminded of what a tremendous community we are privileged to call home. Whether it be Berg, North Central, Sickaway, Downtown, Eastside, South Troy, I will continue to work to make us one Troy, bringing pride back to our neighborhoods. It's time to spread the momentum from downtown into our neighborhoods. I'm confident with this new council, we are going to see more attention to basic services in our neighborhoods. A focus on reducing the tax burden, improving public safety and garbage pickup, and restoring or removing blighted buildings, our people and our neighborhoods make a great city. It's our neighborhoods, all unique, all special, that make this city the greatest city in our state. All of us, at some time or other, need help. Whether we're giving or receiving help, each one of us has something valuable to bring to this world. That's one of the things that connects us as neighbors. In our own way, each one of us is a giver and a receiver. Fred Rogers, Neighbor to Neighbor. In the coming year, I will continue to work hard to ease the burden of taxes and fees on the residents of our city. I pledge to be a watchdog for your pocketbook and serve as an appropriate checks and balance. The tax burden shifted to the residents and taxpayers through regressive taxes and fees, like the garbage and trash fee, must end. They hurt the people in the city who are least able to absorb new costs, which is why I will continue to oppose them. It's time to stop placing much of that burden on the taxpayers and residents and seek alternatives to keep a lid on new taxes and fees. I'm pleased that the mayor announced that a study will take place to relocate City Hall. 3 years ago, the City Council Special Committee to seek a relocation for City Hall, which I sponsor, produced a report, which I believe will be a great foundation toward this effort. Folks, we rent a floor for approximately 75 people for $360,000 per year. It's time to cut that cord and have our own City Hall. I look forward to working with the mayor on this project. According to New York State Comptroller's report from 2018 regarding tax-exempt property, Troy was used as an example as a large percentage of property tax exemption in a city. And it mentioned how the city is seeking alternative user fees instead of taxes. The Comptroller's report cited the city of Troy's trash collection fee instead of continuing to fund this service through property taxes. Similar to the legislation I sponsored 3 years ago, appointing a committee to relocate City Hall, this evening, I'm announcing that I will sponsor legislation appointing a bipartisan city council special committee to explore a public safety fee for the Troy Redevelopment Foundation, which is comprised of our largest nonprofit organizations, RPI, St. Peter's Health, Emma Willard, and Russell Sage. The 2018 New York State Comptroller's report also states, Financial Restructuring Board notes that the last increase by the TRF, this major tax-exempt nonprofit, has not increased its contribution of $450,000 in over 20 years. This is not acceptable. The hope is that this special Public Safety Fee Council Committee will drive a similar conclusion as City Hall, the City Hall Committee. Michael Cusack, a dedicated Lansingburg resident who has worked in manufacturing operations management for over 20 years, a 7-year member of the Lansingburg Board of Ed, vice president and treasurer of the Lansingburg Soccer, 8-year veteran of the U.S. Army Military Police, and more importantly, husband and father of 3, I've asked Michael to chair this special committee. I can think of no one more qualified and more committed. Thank you, Michael. I would ask Michael to stand. We didn't Skype him or live Facebook. Michael is actually watching Lansingburg right now. Do we have a score? Did they win? Lansingburg, hopefully, is reaching the finals. They were in the 4th quarter when we started the regular meeting. Michael is up with Lansingburg and Glens Falls. Thank you again, Michael. While we still have a long way to go, the city has taken action. I'm sorry? Score? Oh, okay. While we still have a long way to go, the city has taken action since last year to advance a smarter and more efficient government with city-county shared services. The signing of the South Troy Industrial Roadway Agreement by the mayor and the county exec is a great first step. Hopefully, this is the beginning of more projects between the City-County Shared Services Working Group. This project, folks, has been in the works for over 2 decades. It's long overdue for South Troy residents who have endured truck traffic through their streets, disrupting the quality of life and foundations of homes cracking.
I hear that.
Okay, thank you. As council members Zaluski, McDermott, and I continue to work hard to develop our southern end industrial working waterfront, the building of this roadway is key to future development. Speaking of our waterfront, it's exciting times, folks, along this jewel. Working with hundreds of communities statewide through my roles as New York State Canal Director and the Hudson River Valley Greenway Executive Director, I was afforded to partner and promote economic development projects, water and land trails, and protecting our natural and cultural resources. We have a 7-mile waterfront stretch that will connect South Troy to downtown, to North Central, to Lansingburg. The City Council worked in partnership with the mayor for the soon-to-be redeveloped marina and proposed Green Island Bridge Gateway heading north to the Ingalls Ave Boat Launch and redevelopment of the North Central neighborhood stretching into the Burg through the Powers Park redevelopment into 112th Street, heading north to the 124th Street Boat Launch renovation. Price Choppers closing opens a huge opportunity in the most northern end of our city for multi-use redevelopment with waterfront and land trails access connecting Lansingburg to Waterford. Let's use the waterfront, folks, as our front door to economic development, to land and water trails. This is a priority for all the council members.
We can redevelop our waterfront and improve our parks, but it's all for naught if our streets aren't safer. Our men and women in blue are second to none. That's why it's critical to have all surveillance cameras 100% fully functioning all the time. This is a network malfunction, and the chief has worked with the council on a short-term and a long-term plan. Short-term, I'm imploring that the RFP go out to a vendor to get the present surveillance cameras all working all the time with the monies that are available. And long-term, we need to seek the newest and best technology for state-of-the-art cameras throughout our city. Additionally, the City Council was recently briefed by Chief Owens on the new bail reform and discovery laws, which I believe need to be repealed or dramatically amended. The council recently has already had to hire a part-time employee for the police department to comply with the new discovery laws. This is just the beginning. These laws prioritize the rights of criminals over victims and is resulting in dangerous criminals being left on or released to the streets to reoffend. Over the past 4 years, I've proposed and supported body cams for our police officers. Working with the city administration and the police force, body cam funding is in place, and this is a win-win for residents and our police force. Just last week, another municipality body cam footage showed police officers rescuing a woman in a trapped car. It's time to nail down the body cam policy and move forward. Lastly, I remember the days where my dad walked the beat, he did, Dad, and knew our neighborhoods in downtown like the back of his hand. I, along with Councilmember Ash McPherson and other colleagues, are committed to working with our police force to enhance our community policing effort and Park Walk and Talk program. Last year, the council partnered with the mayor and police chief to get dangerous guns off our streets through the gun buyback program, and I look forward to working with them again this year. This past year, the council also worked hard to ensure that our fire department's facilities receive the upgrades they need. Last year at this time, we were talking about certain firehouses not having working showers and no plan for the second set of turnout gear. I'm happy to report that funding is in place to upgrade several firehouses and firefighters have been fitted for their second set of turnout gear. This is a priority. Thank you, John. Chemicals are present in turnout gear, and they have known and have been known to have suspected carcinogens. This is huge. The mayor and the council work closely on this issue, and the council will be acting on this critically important contract this evening. To advance initiatives like these and to keep our community safe, I continue to strongly support the full staffing and necessary funding for the training and equipment of our police and fire departments. Finally, it's also important to note that this time last year, we were in a very heated and divisive sanctuary city debate. The reason I bring this up, folks, you won. The people won, and yes, you can beat City Hall. Another area the mayor and I have worked closely together is our city's infrastructure. Infrastructure is not just a public safety issue or a public health issue, but solid infrastructure promotes economic development, housing investment, quality of life, and a thriving city. The City Council worked with the mayor to invest in several projects. Just to mention a few, our water. I said to Jewel, it's just, we have the best water, Hudson River, ever. The $40 million upgrade to our water transmission line from the Tom Hannock Reservoir. We have a second to none drinking water. This will continue to provide safe drinking water for Troy residents and customers, and also open the door to expanding service to Hoosick Falls, which DEC is actually presently studying Petersburg, and other communities. On the subject of clean water, I am deeply concerned by the recent revelations that the Norlite plant in Cohoes was incinerating and disposing of firefighting foam, potentially releasing chemical emissions. I'm pleased Mayor Keeler has declared a moratorium, and I stand with Mayor Keeler, federal, state, local legislators wanting more information on this serious issue and holding our federal and state regulators accountable. While the $26 million Troy Seawall Stabilization Project is nearing completion, several other projects are moving forward, such as Riverfront Park, Marina North Boardwalk, Powers Park, and Lansingburg Park, redesigning Spring Campbell Ave intersection on the east side, the Mount Ida replacement dam, and the upgraded 7th Ave and Glen Park, which the deputy mayors worked to receive private sector funding for a public-private partnership. Thank you, Mayor Kuziewski, or Deputy Mayor. Oh my gosh. Woo! Upgrading our firehouses and planning for a new Lansingburg firehouse, new fire and DPW trucks, police vehicles, and equipment. Also, I will only say 4 words about our South Troy pool. Open it this year. The council has authorized the funding. Let the kids swim. In addition, we will be working with the mayor to upgrade the Knickerbocker Park and ice rink into a major park destination. A shout out once again to the deputy mayor and Councilmember Gully for working on this 25-year agreement, which will open the door for this major project. These infrastructure upgrades happen when the mayor and the council work together. Everyone's aware that our roadways are in desperate need of milling and paving. I applaud our DPW crews for working hard to repair potholes this winter. Additionally, while I'm pleased the administration is taking a long-advised approach to capital planning, additional monies are needed. Folks, you may recall the administration at the end of last year proposed a $3.4 million bond to upgrade our golf course. I, along with several other members of the council, believe this was not a proper priority, that our streets, our pocket parks are in major need of attention, and we voted this initiative down. To address this need, I'm announcing this evening that I will be submitting legislation for a $3.4 million bond to invest in a 2-year paving and pocket parks plan. I call it the Triple P plan for our city streets and our pocket parks. Let's get our roads back in shape. And I hope that my council colleagues can support this proposal. Back to basics. The Triple P plan is the kind of investment we need to restore our infrastructure and create more investment in our neighborhoods. After discussing the upcoming year's priorities with all council members, one priority came through loud and clear: our neighborhoods. It's time to bring pride back to our neighborhoods, improving the quality of life, working to make our neighborhoods cleaner and safer, and make smart investments in infrastructure for the future of our city. The strength of our neighborhoods are our people, and people of all abilities. As many of you know, the Think Differently initiative is near and dear to my heart. This is an effort for more inclusion and accessibility for our developmentally disabled and special needs community. I anxiously await the administration's report for the self-evaluation, city programs, activities, and services, and review the policies and practices which affect the participation of individuals with all disabilities. The administration has committed to developing a plan to remove physical barriers that limits access by members of the disability community. I plan on making sure we meet that commitment, and I look forward to working with the mayor on this project. One initiative the council and I, and specifically Councilmember Zalewski, will be leading this effort, will be working on reevaluating the landlord registry and begin working on phase 2 plan of the landlord registry to hold landlords more accountable. Yes, there are many good landlords, but it takes one bad landlord to kill a neighborhood block. Working with code enforcement, we plan to take a street-by-street approach through block captains, new residential occupancy permits, and other innovative approaches to address the blight and enforcement issues in our neighborhoods. As part of this plan, the council will also be using data to look into housing evictions and determine if there are patterns. Councilmember McDermott will be spearheading this effort and seeking state or federal monies to try to assist renters who fall into this circle of poverty and try to ensure fairness in the eviction process. The addition of 2 litter patrol officers and the mobile trail cams are the beginning of holding code violators accountable with garbage and litter. And while I did not support the trash fee, we've seen far, far too many instances of illegal dumping throughout our neighborhoods. This is simply unacceptable. Violators must be held responsible. And I welcome the proactive code enforcement to begin to clean our alleyways and streets. I'm excited of the new partnership with residents, businesses, and neighborhood organizations for the Adopt an Alley program for Earth Day and other, spearheaded by Councilmember Ash McPherson and Councilmember Gully. Let's work together to have a year-round Adopt an Alley and Gateway program. 2 businesses have already reached out to me to adopt a gateway. Stay tuned. And remember, this isn't just about organizations and volunteers cleaning. This is also eyes and ears to help with code enforcement. The council is also working with Amera on a 311 system, which is a citizen reporting system, allowing residents to report issues such as potholes, garbage, trash pickup, traffic signals not working, and other reporting. I'm also requesting the administration seek an emergency notification system of text and calls, much like our school districts have. I also look forward to continuing to work with the recycling coordinator and our sustainability task force for a new education and outreach program on the need to recycle. Our present recycling percentage, folks, is dismal, and we need to encourage more residents to participate. It's not just an obvious benefit to our environment, but we will save money spent at the transfer station. Climate change is real. And the 2019 Climate Act signed into law by the governor puts real timelines and major changes into our everyday lifestyles over the next 2 decades. We need to start thinking differently. That's why this evening I join my bipartisan council colleagues, where the City Council will be acting on a local law to join 12 other municipalities for an option for residents and small businesses to bulk rate purchase 100% renewable electricity. I want to thank Councilmember Cummings and Michelle and the Sustainability Task Force for spearheading this effort. Should this legislation pass, the next step will be key. We'll go out to bid for the RFP. Stay tuned, and thank you again. The council also worked to get designated a green energy community and is presently working with the administration and Siemens to implement LED lighting, which will benefit our city both financially and environmentally. And we continue to remain committed to a healthy and better environment for our neighborhoods. The City Council's Neighborhood Improvement Program, which is also called NIP, is a major example of the City Council partnering with volunteers across our city to bring pride back to our city gateways and neighborhoods. Projects range from 9/11 Memorial Park in the Burgh to the North Central neighborhood improvements to Mount Ida preservation efforts. Lots of hope in Osgood neighborhood, the 11th Ward Memorial in Little Italy, Friel Park Conservancy, handicap accessible swings, and community gardens. While these projects are small investments, They have a huge domino effect on neighborhood economic development, quality of life, recreation, and trail networks. The City Council NIP program application is out on the street, and I look forward to continuing working with council members moving this valuable program forward. Thanks to our NIP subcommittee members Sue Steele, Jim Gully, and Anasha Cummings. A special thank you to all the neighborhood organizations and volunteers who are passionate and dedicated to restoring pride in our neighborhoods. Thank you. You rock. But there's one more thing we can do to revitalize our neighborhoods. Last evening, I convened a workshop with my fellow colleagues to discuss our upcoming Community Development Block Grant 5-year consolidated plan. This is a big opportunity, folks, where federal monies are allocated annually for low and moderate income neighborhoods in cities across the country. Lansingburg, North Central, South Troy, and downtown have all benefited from this vital program in the past. The Little Italy Quality of Life Committee, North Central Neighborhood, and Berg have all applied for this upcoming funding. And also, I must mention the importance of the 2020 census. Please, please make sure you're counted, as this and many other funds like the CDBG funding Troy receives are based on our 50,000 population plus. I've worked hard over the past couple of years to bring more transparency, accountability, and financial reporting to the council, and I'll continue being that watchdog. One area we see millions of dollars in tax incentives is through our IDA. According to a recent independent audit, the city lost over $1.3 million each year due to pilot agreements. While the IDA controls the pilot agreements, I'm proposing the soon-to-be appointed IDA chair meet with the Council Finance Committee quarterly to update the council on all pilot agreements and property agreements. Finally, I want to address a topic I know is on everyone's mind, the coronavirus. We need to be vigilant, proactive, and prepared. That's why I believe the city should have a plan on how to deal with employees who may or may not need to be tested. While we aren't going to eliminate the spread, the more proactive we are in-house, we can limit that spread. The City Council and Clerk's Office continues to increase our outreach effort through social media, YouTube, council meetings, committee meetings, informational meetings, workshops, public hearings, and other avenues to be one of the most transparent councils in the capital region. More involvement, better outreach, and a regular enhanced dialogue is essential, because the richest asset in our city is our people and our neighborhoods. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts, and working together, we will bring pride back to our neighborhoods. Thank you, and God bless. Hold on, I have another speech. No, I'm kidding. Thank you very, very much for joining us. We'll go right into the regular meeting. Some people may want a potty break. We'll break for 2 minutes, and then we'll get the regular meeting going. Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Very good. Very good speech.
Berg won 55-48.
Oh, and I didn't even know it. We are going to continue our regular meeting. We have the vacancy list, which was forwarded. The approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski, second, Councilmember Gully. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Presentation of agenda, we have a local law, we have ordinance 81, 13, 14, 19, 15, 17, 20, 21. Yes, we're getting a hot. Resolution 91, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, and 33. So we have a pretty heavy agenda, but many of these have been discussed over the past few weeks. Public forum, we'll open it up now to you. We want to hear from you, and you have 5 minutes or 7 minutes. I apologize, your name and address to A, speak on any item on the agenda and or in your neighborhood. We have moved the last public forum. We bumped it up to the initial public forum for you, and we hope you like this new public forum style. So we would ask you to come to the podium and state your name and address and fire at it. Hi there.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Mike Lyons. I live at 3 Troon Court in Saratoga Springs. I'm the president of the Greater Capital Region Building Trades. I just want to thank the council, council president, thank you in particular, and the mayor for your efforts to keep the apprenticeship resolution as it stands. We look forward to working with the council in the future and the mayor to show the benefits of the resolution and what it can do for the local community and the Greater Capital Region going forward. So thank you very much, and we appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Hi there.
How you doing? I'm Mike Mastropetro. I live at 7 Wake Robin Road in Malta. I'm the business manager for the IBW 236. And while I'd like to tell you my story with the apprenticeship, I think it's more important and it's been more honorable and rewarding to me to see the hundreds of kids that I've had the opportunity to watch grow, be able to nurture and watch them grow and obtain skills for sustainable careers that have lifted some out of poverty and carried them and given them rewarding lives also. But I think more importantly, there's a few apprentices here who would like to speak. So
Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Hi there.
Hello, how's it going? My name is Tony Pache. I'm a 5th-year apprentice.
Where do you live, Tony?
I currently reside in Altamont, New York right now. I'm from Clifton Park.
That's okay.
Can I introduce the rest real
Sure.
quick?
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Matthew Schmidt. I live in Colony, New York.
Thank you, Matthew.
I am Paul Votrin. I just moved out of Clifton Park and bought my own house in Ravenna. I'm also a 5th year.
Thank you.
My name's Colleen Keller. I live at 443 8th Ave, Troy, New York.
I remember you, Colleen.
I'm a 4th year.
Hi, Colleen. Sure.
I think because all of us are nervous. Just
Don't
if you
be
didn't know,
nervous. Don't
but
be
I
nervous.
think I'll take the lead here. But on behalf of all of us, we are appreciative. The program has changed all of our lives in different ways because we've all grown up different. However, we united on this one single subject of electrical work, which is, however you got there, you got there. But the quality of work and the skills we obtain are absolutely, they're far beyond what's offered in other sectors of the same work. And you truly learn to work together at a higher level. And I'm nervous. I am nervous. And like Mike pointed to the economic opportunities that this trade does provide at that level. It's something to look forward to. And I know quite a few of us have gone to college and obtained different levels of degrees, and yet we all still ended up here. And it's because we saw an opportunity and we took a hold of it while we could. And we thank you guys for acknowledging that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank
Just another thing to touch upon this program. It's brought us all together as you know, in unity, in a form of traineeship, togetherness. Brought us all here tonight, and as you know, for our community, we all are working through the state mandated program to better ourselves, better our communities. So our training is mandated through the state of New York, and it helps all of us live a better life. You know, they offer us a traineeship, as well as, you know, proper wages for what we all deserve. But in turn, it also helps us turn that around and contribute that back into our communities, whether it's Albany, Schenectady, or the city of Troy.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Nice shirt. Nice shirt.
Thank you. One quick example of bettering the communities. I have personally dumped more than almost equivalently to a decade of man hours into Good Ground Family Church of Cohoes. I have been able to do, because of what they have taught me, I have taken over almost all of the electrical work, and I've done everything to upgrade them, including a brand new lighting system through the entire first floor of that church. So everything I've learned from them, I've used to my own benefit to give back to something in that place specifically, because the late Pastor Wendell and Donna Williams, the current owner, are both amazing people, and places like that need to be supported and need some strength from the community, because nobody seems to care about this kind of thing anymore. It's just not getting its love that it needs. So I'm doing my part there.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
We thank you for your time.
Thank you again. Would anyone else? Hi there, Frank.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Frank Babin, Troy, New York, 259th Street, 54-year resident, 9.5 years in the military. I just want to, I kind of brainstormed this, but we'll get it across. First and foremost, I think we just want to thank the mayor and the deputy mayor for always accepting us, always being open to us, always allowing us, you know, their venue. Anytime I call, hey, can you set it up? They make it happen. We bring them the right people, and the right things are happening. So the people in the North Central area, District 2, they're buying into the process. We're excited to have Kim on board. She's very proactive. She's lived up to everything she's said so far, and we're moving forward with that. She has a sister with Mr. Gully, and of course, with all the staff, and of course, you come out. So we first want to thank you for that. That being said, and again, this might be a little, you know, not in order, but okay. Violence, we have to stop it. Like, listen. All right, we're losing young Black lives at an amazing rate. This should never happen, but it's happening like at an amazing rate. Like every other week, we're hearing it. It's happening, and now it's like they're dying, and we can't. So anything that can happen with the authority, you know, I've worked with the captain. I've worked with everybody I can. We've tried everything we can. It's just, here's the thing that I'm talking, when I look, right, and I say, and I talk about young Black lives, and I don't like to use race, color, or anything like that, because I'm not about that. Okay, I'm just about people and doing the right thing, no matter, all right, white's a color. Why are you not color? That's a color. Okay, so, but it's terrible, because anytime you hear, right, for the last 5 years, anytime you hear shooting, anytime you hear, you know, anything violent like that, it's almost 98 or 99.9% of the time some young Black male of color. We're saying to ourselves, hey, what is going on? What is it in the Black family or whatever that's so different that this is not happening anywhere else? We don't want it to happen anywhere else. But if you look at it, we're going, every time you hear somebody got shot, you can almost guarantee it's going to be a young Black male. Sad. It's not that we want it to be any other color. We don't want it to be. It should never happen. But it's happening. It's happening in our community like way too much.
Frank, can you,
Yes. So, I just want to address, so if we, whatever we can do to address that, help us help ourselves. We're looking for anything we can to say, hey, what are you doing different? Like what's happening in whatever households, what can happen to create the change? We got to change the culture and the chaos of our streets. I got grandsons. I got a 17-year-old grandson. I worry every time. Scared of it. We shouldn't live in fear. We don't have to do that. So the Take Back Troy thing for us is like really big. The mayor allowed us to take back Troy, the Take Back Troy initiative. I went to him. We were October 26th of last year. God bless us with a beautiful day. He gave it to us and it worked. And I mean, he gave it to us in like a week's time or whatever, but it happened. If we can do that again. Okay. So take back 9th Street, 8th Street, 10th Street, one block at a time. It works. We need to do whatever works. I got a lot of parents, grandparents, great-grandparents. I'm almost a great-grandparent. I'm 55 years old. All right. So they're just saying, Frank, what are they going to do what can they do? I go, I don't know. But I'll tell them. So I'm telling them, whatever you have. And Kim will certainly, all right. If you can just let Kim know, I'm always in constant contact with them. Monica as well. If you guys have anyone has any type of suggestions, whatever you have, we'll listen. And I guarantee you they'll hear it. Just like they give me the stuff and I bring it to you. You give me something, I'll bring it to them. This is what you got to do. This is how you have to. This is what they proposed. You got to make something because everything else is just not working. And this is happening at an alarming rate. Okay. Continue. Street cleaning. Thanks to Jack Frost, and I guess that little thing didn't see his shadow. We're really going to get an early spring, it looks like. Let's go with it. Can we have 9th Street hasn't been cleaned, 8th, 9th, and 10th. The street cleaners have not come, but within reason. But now it's okay. So they have come and pushed the streets back. They come and took care of the wires, but we need those streets. If we can get them to come back and start with the street cleaning, because we ain't getting no more slow. We pray so we can get the street cleaning back in full force that Monday, and then hold accountability to that. Because up in Arrowhead, the hillside up top, what happens is they show up January, and then you don't see them again until April. And then they say, well, we had to, but they always show up on 15th Street. They always show up on Burdette. They always how is they're always there, but never there. We're just a little, and it's right up the street from us. And the crazy part is the street cleaners that do those street cleanings everywhere else but on Knife, to get to the Bureau of Streets, you basically have to come through 9th Street with your trucks. So they come through with their trucks after they're finished doing every place else to get to the garage that's placed right there on 7th Avenue. And we're going, what? So if that can happen, if we can get a little more with that, we'd certainly appreciate it. We assure you. And there are a lot of people that reach out to us. We found this doesn't work, and we like some more input on that too. We've had outstanding groups of people come out, and every year 150 people come out, and let's clean the streets of Detroit. Let's show you how it's done. And then they come in, and people come from everywhere, and they come and they clean residences in the area right there in the hillside, and they leave, and then it's beautiful. And then in 1 week, it's terrible.
Frank, I have to be the bad cop here.
It's okay.
And start wrapping it up.
I will.
Thank you.
Can we? This time we're saying no. We have had some assistance from Hillary Tripp, CEO Unios, who I'm employed with now. So we're saying, yeah, we want to clean, but we want more of the people doing it themselves because they'll take more pride in it and then they'll keep it. It might last a little longer. So we're not asking for like 150 people to come in. What we're asking for is like the last time I put in a thing for NIP and I asked for like rakes, brooms, like blowers, they said, we ain't buying tools to do it. I said, okay. But what I'm trying to do is just try to get it where we get the people involved and they're ready to be involved in doing their own cleaning. If we can get them, their stuff. Trip has reached out, gave rakes, brooms, and there's going to be also a solar power like porch light they're going to get. But anything else that we can get, but not that we don't appreciate anyone else coming in and helping, but do it themselves. When they do it themselves, it kind of works. We believe it's going to work better. We have to have change. We just want it to change up there. So anything that you can do to promote the change, we certainly appreciate that. And anything that you have for us, please get in contact with me. I'll make sure you get my information. I'll leave my card at the thing. Again, I'm Frank, North Central Community. All right, I'm 4-1 Troy and all of Troy. It'll make it better for like everything, and I believe everyone. Well, let's just please, whatever you can do. All right, we're reaching out to you. All right. Thanks.
You, Frank. Thank you. Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak on any item or perfect? Hi, Eric.
Hello. Eric Wisher, 30 Fairfield Road, Troy, New York, President of Troy Uniformed Firefighters. I'd like to speak in favor of Resolution 32 for the turnout gear. Started with bipartisanship of the previous council. Looks like it's going to be bipartisanship with this council if the vote goes the way I expect it to go. We thank you for that. It's much needed. It's cancer preventative equipment. So we really need it. There's a lot of things that in your speech we're really enthused about. The bipartisanship talk, repairs to certain things in the city, bringing back the neighborhoods, the mayor's speech. If half of both those speeches come to life, the city will be a great place. So thank you if you can all work together. And the union guys here, the apprenticeship program, it's a great thing, right? They give back. The guy spoke about giving back to community. They spend their money while they're working here. They donate to different organizations. So that's a good thing to have the unions on board with our construction projects, electrical projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Eric. Hi there.
Hi, my name's Al Blakely. I'm currently on my 14th year with the IBEW.
Where do you live?
I live in the town of New Scotland, but I have lived in Troy. I grew up in Saratoga County. I live in Albany County now. I got into the apprenticeship when I was 20. I'm 34 now. They taught me everything I know. Outside of the ethics, fellowship, technical skills, I just like to point out that they do have safety training that is second to none. I mean, I learned literally everything from them. Right now, I have hundreds of hours of safety training that have been invaluable on the job. I think we can all agree that at the end of the day, what's most important is that we all go home safe to our families. I have a 4 and an 8-year-old child right now, and I'm just thankful that I got started with this program as opposed to starting in the other sector. So I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you so much, Al.
Appreciate you having us here.
Yep,
Thank you.
thank you. Would anyone else like to address the council? All right, we're going to close the public forum section. Don't ask the council. I mean, I obviously can do this, but in the bipartisanship spirit, I'm going to first put resolution 29, and we have a guest with us. So if we could jump to resolution 29, Mara.
Resolution recognizing March 2020 as Women's History Month in the city of Troy. The entire city council is sponsored.
Very good. And yes, they were all added at the end, including Councilmember Gully and Cummings, who were a little late. Do I have a motion? Motion, Councilmember Steele. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Gully. Discussion. All I want to say is the year of the women's suffrage. We have a guest with us. I can't wait to hear her, and she has promised to be about 5 to 7 minutes. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Kathy Sheehan, our registered historian for Troy, for Rensselaer County, for the Capital Region. We love her, and she's going to talk about how important a year this is, and more importantly, the incredible women here in Troy.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carmel, the council, and Mayor Madden, and the audience here. I just want to start with a quote. There can be no beginning of the experiment of a genuine republic so long as one half the people are disenfranchised, especially the half that man calls the better half of the people. So let us work to hasten the day when this will be in truth a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. That quote is by none other than Susan B. Anthony. From her history of the women's suffrage movement. She spoke in Valley Falls, just outside the city of Troy. Woman suffrage. Even today, 100 years after the 19th Amendment was passed, those two words evoke strong reactions. From the first Women's Right Convention in Seneca Falls in July of 1848 to the final ratification of the 19th Amendment on August 26, 1920. There was a long progression of constant, undefeatable energy directed against the status quo, which prevented one half of the population from real participation in the political life of the nation. So, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, who maybe wasn't born in Troy, but was here in Troy. She attended the Emma Willard Troy Female Seminary, which taught girls the same curriculum that boys studied, and which educated generations of young women in the concept that they could do the same things intellectually that young men could. And so it was that she brought with her in 1848 over tea with Lucretia Mott, Martha Wright, and Mary Ann McClintock, and then went to visit Jane Hunt. And they decided to call a meeting to discuss women's rights. In July, on short notice, 300 people attended the convention at Seneca Falls, signaling the first time a formal demand for the right to vote is made in the Declaration of Sentiments. Many of those attending were active in the abolition movement and the temperance movement at the time. They saw these issues as being intimately connected to the cause of women's rights. I wanted to talk about two particular women from Troy who really, they're just my heroes, and I hope they are to all of you. The first one is Evanetta Hare, born in 1863. When she died in 1938, the Troy Record noted, and I quote, "No woman in Troy was more active than Miss Hare in the long fight for the rights of women to vote. She spoke at many public gatherings on the subject and wrote many articles espousing the cause for the local press, having been a frequent contributor to this newspaper," end of quote. After graduating from Troy High School in 1881, she began a long career in education in the Troy school system. She became the principal of School 2 in 1892 and retired in 1933. In addition to her suffrage activities, which included helping to found the Rensselaer County Political Equality Club and the Troy Political Equality Club, she was a leader in the movement to pass state legislation giving better conditions for school teachers, including pensions and increased salaries. As one of the prime organizers of the Troy Suffrage Party, Miss Hare was tireless in meeting with and speaking to potential supporters of the passage of the suffrage amendment, both in 1915 and 1917. Her arguments stressed the logical nature of giving women the right to vote if men would think the issue through in a balanced way. Remember that. Good stigma. In her own words, from a letter to the editor of the Troy Times in October 1917, I quote, "All suffragists will agree with you when you say every male voter should show his right to vote by familiarizing himself with arguments for and against, and by voting not from temporary impulse or from whim. If he does this, if he considers only arguments for and against and no extraneous influences, he will be fair to the women of his state and give them the vote. for this war, and she's speaking, of course, of World War I, in which we are engaged, has demolished every argument against women's suffrage. The woman in the home argument, the woman cannot fight argument, the woman does not know enough argument, the danger of feminizing argument. She was quite a character, and just a wonderful, wonderful person. The other person is from Lansingburg, and her name is Caroline Mariah Gilkey Rogers. She was born in 1837. She came to Troy, to Lansingburg specifically, from Boston when she married E.F. Rogers, who was a widower who operated a large custom laundry in Troy. Through the 1880s, she was a key figure in the New York State Women's Suffrage Association, organizing a large society, managing the campaign to elect a woman to the local school board, lobbying the legislature, and addressing most of the state meetings. The National Association was quick to recognize her speaking talents. She spoke during the New England tour of 1881, and a year later, she made her first of many appearances at the Washington Convention. She did speak, and it's really quite interesting, about what happened in Lansingburg, and in her own words, and again I quote, "In the space allotted me, I can only give you a few points of my Washington report. Coming a stranger about 4 years ago to this New York village of 9,000 inhabitants, I did not find even one sympathizer in the women's suffrage cause. The law had passed giving women the vote on school matters, but they had not availed themselves of it. I succeeded at the first election after my arrival in getting a woman's name on the ticket as a librarian, and she was elected. I also got 12 women out to the school meeting the evening before the election, the first time a woman had ever attended. In this town, there had never been a vote of over 50 men on school matters, and at this election, over 100 men voted and 43 women. I have not the space to tell you of the gallant service of my good horse, Jessie, and how we ran the big family carriage to and from the polls, carrying load after load of women, and how the quiet village woke up what the old fogies did and said." So obviously we passed the amendment, and even though women could vote and did in record numbers, the experience was not always completely positive. Those of you who are longtime residents of Troy may recall Lois Lusty. Her family is involved in Sims Jewelers down at Monument Square, where what is the name of the restaurant? Thank you. Ilium Cafe is now. She recalled, we got to interview Lois. She was another great character, wonderful woman. She recalled her first voting experience in the early 1920s. When she approached the voting booth, the men in charge asked her if she could read. She was a college graduate. When she said she could, and she knew they knew she was in college at the time, they handed her a newspaper and told her to read part of it to prove that she could. Gradually, this kind of intimidation certainly gave way to more friendly experiences as millions of American women exercised their rights in each election. Once the 19th Amendment was passed, the suffrage organizations formed the League of Women Voters, which today continues that tradition of voter education and impartial discussion of the issues and candidates. Of course, there was and still is much work to be done. The concept of equal rights for men and women is still being established on many fronts, but we certainly owe a debt to the suffragists who worked so hard this basic right. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you. Yeah, I on the discussion, even though we already passed it, Council Member, I believe we passed it. Council Member Steele.
I just wanted to share, I had the privilege this week during Read Across America of reading at School 16, and so I chose a book about Amelia Bloomer, and I prefaced it asking the children if they knew what happened in March, and most of them said their birthdays. But we eventually got around to Women's History Month, and when I mentioned, there was a time when women couldn't vote, they were aghast. They said, "Why not?" And so it was one of those teaching moments, and made me realize that, yeah, we have a long way to go, but we've come a long way as well. So I was grateful for that, and thank you, Kathy.
Would anyone else like to say anything? Councilmember Zaluski.
Mr. President, first of all, Kathy, you mentioned Lois Lusty.
Yeah.
I have very historic writings from her regarding Myrtle Avenue and all of our homes on that street. Apparently, she lived there a long time ago and documented it back to when they lit the lamps, the street lights with gas. Really cool writings. I have to make sure I get that to you. That reminded me. Also, I just want to mention, as you can see, the city council right now is majority female, which I think might be the first time that's happened in the history of the council. I'm not 100% sure.
My first win, we had Nina Pattison, Arlene Cal. That was not that long ago. Okay, folks, I was in my 20s. It was actually mid-90s. I did want to share two quick things. I'm sure the union folks know Katie Mullaney, certainly an important woman here in Troy. For our union folks, to Katie. And then number two, I work for the state legislature. My boss works with the lieutenant governor for the Women's Suffrage Commission. And my boss is sponsoring a bill declaring the yellow rose as the official flower for this year as the Women's Suffrage Year. So this year, as you all have heard, 100 years ago, women couldn't vote. Why the yellow rose? Well, 100 years ago on the floor of Congress, the men, because it was all men at that time, the men who wore the red roses were anti-women voting. The men who wore the yellow roses were pro. And it was voted 100 years ago this year for women to vote. And those men that wore the yellow rose obviously won the battle. So thank you to those men. And more importantly, as Councilmember Steele said, we have a long way to go, but we have come a long way. Thank you again, Kathy Sheehan. Thank you. All right. Now, if council members,
Can I ask for a vote on resolution?
I thought we did. All in favor? Okay.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank
Resolution
you.
29 passes 7
Thank
ayes,
you.
0 noes.
Get so caught up in the moment. I get so excited. Resolution 33. We have a lot of folks who have family, who have sons, daughters that they have to get home to. If you don't mind, Resolution 33.
Resolution amending Resolution 72 of 2019, Council President Mantello, Councilmember Zaluski, at the request of the administration.
First, I'd like to make a motion to amend the title. So my phone died. I am looking at the resolution. I want to amend the title of the resolution. Resolution amending Resolution 72 of 2019, because this resolution technically does not amend the resolution. What we are doing tonight is passing a waiver to waive Resolution 72 of 2019 for a project, the South Troy roadway, industrial road, I should say. So on that motion, I'd just like to say, I'd like to amend it to state resolution waiving Resolution 72 for the South Troy roadway project. Do I have a motion? Or I have a motion. I apologize. Do I have a second?
Second that.
Second, Councilmember Zaluski. On the discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Amendment passes 7-0.
Okay. On the amended resolution, do I have a motion?
Council President,
Yes.
I'll just note, since we rearranged order, that I do have some comments for all the folks in the audience about the local law. So I'm hoping they stick around at least for that.
Oh, please, we're going right to the local law after this, and I apologize, just a lot of folks are here in I know you want to get home to your families, and I do appreciate everybody waiting. Thank you, council member, thank you. So on the discussion, or do we have a motion on the amended resolution?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Steele, do we have second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Ash McPherson, discussion. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right,
Resolution 33 passes, 7 ayes, 0 noes.
thank you. Thank you. We passed it, so you guys, if you want to. Local law, but.
Thank you.
A local law to add a section to the general law of the City of Troy authorizing the creation of a community choice aggregation program and adopting certain provisions to facilitate program implementation. Councilmember Cummings, Council President Mantello, Councilmember Zaluski.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Steele, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember McDermott, on the discussion.
Council President.
Yes, Councilmember
As folks are
Cummings.
walking out, I'll just briefly note that a big part of this project is about supporting the development of local power generation, particularly local renewables. And so I definitely wanted to thank the IBEW for all their work training up the staff and the workforce that's going to be needed to build those solar panels and install those solar fields into the future. So thank you all for coming out tonight, and thank you all for all your work doing that. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's
Now,
all?
yeah, that was the note for them. Now we get to the discussion on the
Oh my
local law.
gosh, okay. Okay, on that discussion.
First, I'll note the amendment that I emailed last week, and I think I should officially make that motion as an amendment.
Correct.
To add section 6, which creates a community choice aggregation oversight board. And then 5-member group that will help make the final decision as to which default option we go with, as well as any other questions that come up through the process, allowing a little bit more nimble process than having to call a special council meeting, but also maintaining a little bit of control and collaboration between the mayor's office and the council as this program develops. So I don't know if anyone has any questions on that. This email that we can go.
Well, I'll second your motion and then we can discuss the amendment. So on the discussion of the amendment, I did want to note, I appreciate Councilmember Cummings. If everyone reads this, we really felt it was important as a council to have a checks and balance committee. Once that RFP comes in, one of the appointments is an appointment by the council president, one by the pro tem sustainability task force. It's modeled after the city of Albany. I thought it was a great model that we could use. Take a look at it. I think it works very well, and I think it keeps that check and balance of the RFP once that comes in. Because I think at the East Side meeting, we were kind of like, well, wait a minute. After that RFP, after the bid comes back, who looks at this? And who authorizes, et cetera. And I think that this is a professional committee, a bipartisan committee, has the right ingredients to do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so further discussion on the amendment. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Amendment to local law number 1 passes, 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Okay. And just so folks are aware, it was amended prior to the 7 days, which is required by charter. Also, on the amended local law, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Steele. Do we have a second? Second, Councilmember McDermott. Discussion.
Council President.
Yes, Councilmember Cummings.
I guess just want to thank the council and the administration and the Municipal Electric and Gas Alliance for all their work over the past month, really getting the news out into the neighborhoods, making sure that they were available wherever called. It was an impressive effort to start, and I know it was a little bit of a strange education time in terms of we're still waiting on a lot of the details. So we're looking forward to seeing that education continue to grow as we get these details and are really able to provide the information residents are looking for with regard to the savings and with regard to the amount of renewable energy we're able to provide. So super excited about that, and thank you for all your work on those fronts. I guess I'll just, for folks to be thinking about as we go forward, note, as I've noted a little bit in the past, I think this is the first step. This is a ability to have a little bit more say in where we're getting our electricity as a city. And I think it opens up the door for a lot of amazing work to help really push for the development of renewable energy at a local level. Is that those dollars continue to come into our community, continue to flow around, continue to increase our local economy. So I think that's super important as we look into the future, finding ways to build our economy here and become more resilient, become more renewable. Obviously, the state is increasingly aware of the disastrous repercussions of climate change and encouraging cities like us to do everything we can to stop having an impact on accelerating that climate change as well as to mitigate. I think this can help on both those fronts, both in terms of reducing our dependence on fossil fuels as well as increasing the local resilience of our grid, both of which may be increasingly important into the future. So this is the first step towards that vision, and I think obviously there's going to be a lot more work in the coming years to get there, but I'm looking forward to taking this first step together.
Thank you, Councilmember Cummings. Yep, further discussion, Councilmember Ash McPherson.
I'd like to thank everybody that was involved in working on this. I voiced my opinion a lot that I feel that much more education is needed to get out to the public. I would hope that you guys are going to be out more into the public. I wasn't going to vote for this tonight because I'm not there with it. I don't feel that the education was out there. But in order for us to find out what the prices are going to be, we have to do this. I don't agree with doing that. And that's like last night, Mr. Gully and I were having dinner downstairs, and we were told that we had to pay before we knew what the price was going to be. And I got chuckled in my head, we're doing something before we know what the price is going to be. So I don't agree with it. I'm, going to reluctantly vote for it tonight. But I do want more education out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Ash McPherson. Further discussion? I had a couple of comments. When this came to me by the Sustainability Task Force and Councilmember Cummings, I was initially very, very skeptical. It came to us with the former council, so I want to say back in October, November. And I looked at it and I'm kind of like, geez, I mean, I get it. Working for the state, I knew the ESCOs and the legislation that was passed a couple of years ago, but I was very skeptical. I must say, after much education, many neighborhood meetings, MEGA has been out there full force, whether it be Berg, the farmers market, the east side, I believe the library, you were on the radio a couple times, regarding at least trying and really getting out there to educate folks. The outreach I thought was extremely well. We had 3 public meetings. We had a couple neighborhood meetings, I believe Osgood, Little Italy, MEGA was there. But, in District 3, I forgot over at Park Hub. But as we all know, as Councilmember Ash McPherson says, a lot of people aren't really paying attention right now. They hear it, they're kind of like, what's this about? So we have to go back out there, should this local law pass, and we have to go back out there just like we have been the last 2 months. We have to be just as vigilant, even more. Because one of the things in the law that I really do not like, but we can't change, because state law, it's about opting out. That's how the ESCOs work. Just like National Grid, you move in Troy, you get National Grid. You have to opt out. So that to me, certainly is something I don't like about this, but it's something we can't change because the Public Service Commission and the legislature decided to do that. What I do like about this is we do need to start thinking differently when it comes to climate change, when it comes to renewable energy. And as Councilmember Cummings says, and we talk about it at several of the neighborhood meetings, hopefully this opens the door to more jobs and more
energy efficient type of jobs and programs. So the real proof in the pudding is going to be when those bids come back. And obviously with that committee now in the legislation, I feel much more comfortable. I really want to thank Mega. I mean, I know many of you have children. You were out there at the neighborhood meetings, and Katie one night was just like, oh my God, my husband forgot who I was. So I want to thank Mega. You know, we are looking forward to this partnership. But once again, the proof will be in the pudding when those bids come back. So this will allow us to bulk rate. We're with a number of other municipalities. Lastly, and I'm really sorry because I'm excited about this, I like the regional partnership. We need to start thinking more and more about intermunicipal efforts with other 12 municipalities. This is not regionalization. It's all about regional partnerships. I'm really high on that, and I really think we have to do more of that. So this is a great example of intermunicipal efforts, and hopefully the Rockefeller Center recognizes that next year. So I vote aye also. Further discussion.
Council President?
Yes.
I'll just quickly say that thank you to Mega for coming to 3 neighborhood meetings, the 3 neighborhoods that I represent. The residents really appreciate that. You had answers to every question, including the greatest skeptics out there. You handled them with ease and with grace, and we really appreciate that. I also want to thank Councilmember Cummings, who has shepherded this through the previous council into the current council. Some of us that were joining recently, of course, we had to come up quickly on it. Anasha loves to educate us, and it's a good thing. And it sounds very promising for the city of Troy, so I definitely look forward to working with you, Omega, and my fellow colleagues on pushing this forward. And I look forward to seeing what kind of rates we can get for our residents. Thank you.
Chair.
Yes, Councilmember Gully.
I'd like to just possibly help with these thoughts. At the meetings you attended, you might have touched 500 minds, but there's so many people outside of that you haven't reached. I might suggest that maybe you put together some sort of creative frequently asked questions or fact sheets that we might be able to distribute to social media, because out there's a few thousand people who might not have all the information their way, might be misinformed about what you're going to offer. The second thing I'll add is that bulk purchasing only works when there's a better price. So you have to push for getting the price to make that a value for the people of Troy. And if you can do that, put that together with enough information, I think that more people can warm up to what you're trying to do, because right now there's a lot of confusion out there in the social media world. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Gully. Further discussion? I do want to say ditto. All of us in Mega, and the mayor obviously, and the administration, we have to get out there after this and really educate folks, because there is a lot of confusion. My mother's adamantly opposed to this. We got into a war the other night. So anyway, I'll get her to come around. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Local law number 1 passes 7-0.
Great. And then thank you again, Councilmember Cummings. Thank you. Ordinance 81.
Ordinance 81 from 2019, ordinance amending the Code of Troy, Article 2, Chapter 247, zoning, Section 247.57, permits. Councilmember Cummings at the request of the administration. This was passed October 3rd, 2019. It needed a technical amendment, which was passed at the February 20th Finance meeting, changing city clerk to Commissioner of General Services in the last paragraph, the last sentence.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Councilmember Gully. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Zaluski. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 81 from 2019 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 13.
Ordinance authorizing and directing the reconveyance of 631 7th Avenue. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Councilmember Gully. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Steele. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed?
Ordinance 13 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 14.
Ordinance authorizing the city to create a capital project and amending the capital projects fund budget to allow funding for said capital project. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion?
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Ash McPherson. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Ordinance 14 passes, 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Ordinance 19.
Ordinance declaring certain city-owned property as surplus and directing the comptroller to dispose of said property. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Steele. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Zaluski. This is over on Carlisle. Many members have been a part of moving this forward. We declared it surplus a couple weeks ago. And I just want to thank the council members for working together on this issue. Further discussion?
Council President?
Yes, Councilmember Cummings.
In my discussions, there was some discussion of, I guess, making an angle on the end of that. You had that on your map, right?
Yep.
And I'm not seeing it on here, so I just want to make sure that's reflected in the discussion and maybe amend the map to have that angle so that the both streets essentially have access to Regent Court. Does that make sense?
Actually talk to that landowner.
Carl, can you come up and use the mic? And I'm opening it up just
Okay.
for council members' knowledge. Go ahead.
Hello, my name's
Yeah.
Carl Cacciati.
Yeah, you can tell it right out.
My name's Carl Cacciati. I'm talking on behalf of this Carlisle Ave proposition. Last meeting when I was here, the landowner said, don't even worry about that slice. He said, side of, what was the avenue's name again? Which was that?
Regent Court?
Yeah, Region. He says, I have that whole area there I can park. I said, well, I can do that slice. It doesn't matter. So you can access, you don't have to worry about it. He's like, don't worry about it. I mean, if you really want it, I don't care. But the owner said he didn't care about it. So
I think
whatever you guys
the
decide.
discussion, as I understood it, was sort of where, if eventually a trail was developed through here, where it would exit. I guess it could go across.
Well, we'll go through Region Court, but that's all his land there now. So he said he could pretty much access anything he wants. I mean, if it's a problem, I don't care. If
And if it's not, I prefer not to amend.
I'm all right with it. I guess you have more knowledge of it on the ground in terms of what would happen. Because you were talking to me about the potential trail going out to South Lake rather than out to South Carlisle.
Yeah.
Is that still your thoughts in terms of if something like this were to happen eventually?
Well, that was his thought. He said if we're going to connect anything, we could go to South Lake Avenue. And he said, I have all that land there. I can make my trail through my land. He says, you don't have to modify the road to do that.
Okay, good.
Good. Yeah, I think that'd be a little complicated to amend the map. Yeah, good. Thank you, Carl.
Thank you.
For
Okay.
collaboration on this.
Thanks, guys.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 19 passes, 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Okay, ordinance 15.
Ordinance authorizing and directing sales by the proposal sale method of city-owned real property. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Gully. Discussion? Just want to once again thank the subcommittee on these properties. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 15 passes, 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Ordinance 17.
Ordinance transferring funds within the 2020 general fund budget. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Councilmember Gully. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Steele. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 17 passes, 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Ordinance 20.
Ordinance transferring funds within the 2020 general fund budget. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Steele. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Zaluski. Discussion? All in favor?
Chapter 270, Vehicles and Traffic, Section 270-13, Stopping, Standing, and Parking Restrictions, and Section 270-26, Schedule of Penalties for Traffic Offenses, Councilmember Ash McPherson.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Steele. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Zaluski. We did amend it in the finance, so this is the amended ordinance. Further discussion?
Council President.
Yes,
Now I can
Councilmember Ash
talk.
McPherson. I can't wait.
I know, you wanted us to go quick the first time. I'd like to say thank you to all working on this with me. This is going to help a lot of the residents throughout the city of Troy. Many of them have come to me, I'm gonna say at least 7 of them have come to me and complained about the semi trucks parking in residential areas. So this is gonna be something good. This is gonna help our residents, quality of life issues. So I thank you for listening to me and working with me on this. So I'd like to see more of this done. Thank you.
I have a question. Councilmember Ash McPherson, one of the things that's been raised is how is this, can this be enforced? And I had asked you, I think a couple days ago, how can this better be enforced, I should say? Yeah, a couple of good ideas. Can you share that?
We have the traffic control, police, and they can go around and they can write tickets. This is what we're, thank you, Jim, Mr. Caruso, for helping putting a fine on this, a parking ticket fine. So now if you're parking illegally, you get a ticket for parking illegally. So now if you're parking your vehicle where it shouldn't be, you're gonna get a ticket for it. Not that I'm promoting tickets, but we need to let people know that this isn't not right. We don't want them in the residential areas. Find another spot to put them, and this is gonna help.
Yeah, you had also mentioned, council member, that you plan to meet with the traffic enforcement unit.
Right, and I haven't done that yet. I want to sit down with them and find out, the process of going through it and getting out there and writing tickets that need to be written to cars that are parked, not just these semi cabs, any type of vehicles are parking in illegal spots, in bus spots, where buses are supposed to be pulling over. You got to do a lot to educate people not to park in these spots. So we have the police that traffic control that can issue tickets. So I just want to meet with them and see what we can do.
Okay. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance 21 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
I'm gonna skip resolution 91. I want to keep that money. No, I'm kidding. Resolution 91.
Resolution 91 from 2019, authorizing the implementation and funding in the first instance 100% of the federal aid and state Marcatelli program. Eligible costs of a transportation federal aid project and appropriating funds therefore. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administrations. This was passed December 5th, 2019. It needed a technical amendment. There was a typo, which was corrected at the February 20th finance meeting.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Steele. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Gully. And just for folks that are watching right now, we had thought that we got 3 million change for the chips, and really it was 300,000 and change. So there was a typo in the resolution.
I talked to actually Andy about that, and he said what it really was saying was that we were going to be paying $3 million. And so now we're only paying 300.
Oh, reimbursement. Yeah,
Yes.
but I thought they reimbursed us.
So he said we're saving money. That's what Andy said.
I don't know about that. All right, further discussion? I love Andy's spin. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 91 from 2019 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Resolution 25.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a lease agreement based on the terms provided with Knickerbocker Memorial Playgrounds Association for the purpose of maintaining private land dedicated as public park. Council Member Gully, at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Councilmember Ash McPherson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Cummings. Discussion?
Council President?
Yes, Councilmember Zaluski.
Just a quick question for Deputy Mayor. Are we still on schedule for April 1st being the date that we're going to have a plan for the future of the Knickerbocker Arena?
April 1st will be the start of the decision as to what that might, whether we do a rink or we do something different. What the something different is, I will not have an idea of that on April 1st. So yeah, and to be honest with you, like even through the Siemens program, like we're going to do the LED lighting in there. We had kind of held off on that because we didn't know what we were going to do. But now that we found some funding for that within that budget, we're actually going to replace the LED lighting in there. And then they're also talking about maybe even under the Siemens project, being able to do some of the mechanical equipment if we choose to go with the ice rink. So hopefully in turn, helping save some funding or at least split the financing component of it. So we're looking at it, and I know Kevin's finishing up the financial piece so that Andy can look at it, and Andy's in full set AUD mode right now and year-end mode, so he hasn't really been able to dedicate a bunch of time to it. But by April 1st.
Thank you. Can I hold the floor for a second?
Absolutely.
I understand that ice arenas a lot of times lose money. Like we get that because they're very expensive to run. However, there are ways to make a profit with them.
Absolutely.
If Kevin's putting this together, hopefully, he's researching the successful rings where they're making money on them and applying it to our.
So I've asked them to look at the municipal rates as a capital region, similar to what we've done with the golf courses and other public fees and stuff like that, as well as we're looking at sponsorships and all kinds of functions. Okay.
Thank you.
Council President.
Councilmember Ash McPherson.
I would just like to say thank you to Deputy Mayor and to Councilman Gully. This was a long, drawn out, hard battle. And there's a lot of people that park is that park and they want it left, and change is difficult. And you put in a lot of work, a lot of time, same with the Knickerbocker board, put work and time into this. So thank you very much for seeing it through the end, and let's hope that we all can come to a nice agreement with the ice rink down there and try to keep it as an ice rink and then an overlay something else in the summer. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But thank you.
Further discussion? I had a couple quick things for the Knickerbocker pool. Monica, you have May, the design and preliminary estimates go out. So that's going out to bid in May? Is that?
Hold on. Let me get to that piece.
No problem.
Yeah, so once this is approved today, tomorrow I will email John Hickok. So we have the $80,000 that you had done for the 2019 budget. So that's already been kind of put together and put out to CHA. So CHA, who is also John Hickok, he does pool builds and all that kind of stuff. So he's actually the one who's going to do the conceptual design and the preliminary estimates for us. So he's ready to start that. He's the one that actually put this calendar together, this timeline, so that we had an engineer who was able to look at the construction periods and good letting time periods and how to put, full scale drawings together for a brand new pool and facility. So hopefully by May 2020, we can come to the public and to the board, obviously first, with some conceptual thoughts. And we will be including the board in that as well too, that
Okay.
process.
Following up on that, I don't have any more questions, Monica, but one of the big things for me, if folks recall back in 2018, the council at that time approved bonding for the pool to be rebuilt at that site. I have since learned the neighbors are very much in favor of moving that pool. So I get it. And this agreement holds, I think, the administration accountable with some deadlines, some timelines. I like that. At the same time, the relocation of the pool, many of the neighbors, not just in the immediate area, but in that whole neighborhood, are very, very pleased to see that pool hopefully be put more in the park. So, as someone that frequented that park very much and played softball in my day and even now, I'm really looking forward to the park actually getting the necessary upgrades and the necessary attention. And just for folks out there, we will be paying through this lease $5,000 a month, so $60,000 a year, and it will totally go back into the park. Equipment,
upgrades. This is long overdue, and I really want to thank Monica. I want to thank the mayor. There was a lot of work put into this. I know that. And there's also an expenditure committee. And while I would like to have seen a little more representation on that expenditure committee, I'm hearing we had to go into a dogfight just to get a person on the expenditure committee. So, but I would like updates on this. So it's not in the legislation, but I would appreciate updates to the council, how we proceed and how it's going. Okay, cool. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 25 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Resolution 26.
Resolution appointing commissioners of deeds for the city of Troy. Council President Mantello.
I am going to propose an amendment to add 4 people, 3, 4 people, Darcy Ann Casey, Cleanna Lightborn, and Mark Wojcik. And there is a last minute person. I think I lost her application, so I don't think, no, I'm kidding. Councilmember Ash McPherson. So I have placed a motion to add 4 people. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, a lot. Councilmember Steele, discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Is Councilmember McPherson abstaining from that vote?
I'll abstain.
Thank you. The amendment passes 6 ayes, 0 noes, and 1 abstention.
Very good. Resolution 27.
Did you want to vote on the resolution itself? That was the amendment.
Oh, the amendment, I apologize. On the amended resolution, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Councilmember Cummings. Do I have a second? Second, Councilmember Gully. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Resolution 26 passes 6 ayes, 0 noes, 1 abstention. Thank you.
Okay, resolution 27.
Gives you more work to do.
Resolution amending Chapter 79, Article 2 of the Code of the City of Troy. Council President Mantello.
Do I have a motion?
So move.
Motion, Councilmember Steele. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Zaluski. Just to explain very quickly, the Police Objective Review Commission was originally in, after this is amended, it will now be the Police Objective Review Commission, also known as PORC. We are amending it to be the Police Objective Review Board. PORC, while many folks had thick skin, it truly represented, I think, something that if we could fix, we're looking to improve community relations, and certainly the old adage of PORC, me growing up with a dad cop, I certainly heard my dad's name in vain a few times. So I think PORC was appropriate, and further discussion.
Council President?
Yes, Councilmember Cummings.
Wondering maybe while we're on this, we can have an update on appointments to this commission or board as it is, it will be.
Well, it's still a commission until you vote on it. So, as you may know, the legislation allows the mayor to make 8 appointments. I have asked input from community members to assist me in making those appointments. I'm still waiting for input from the NAACP. I know who I'd like to appoint, but I don't want to do it until I get their input.
Do you have plenty of applications?
Yes. I think off the top of my head, I think we had 19 applications that were solid. Yep. Well, maybe 18 that were solid.
What's the timeline on that?
Well, I saw Renee tonight, Renee Powell, the chair of the NAACP, and she's been out of town for about a month, and she said she committed to me that she'd sit down and get to it.
Great.
I don't have a date, though.
And then for starters, do you think it'll be tasked as it currently is? I know you were talking about sort of procedures. Where are we at with that?
So the legislation that was originally passed, I think it was 1997, is woefully light on details. So I've written up some operating procedures for them to get started with. We'll start with what we have right now, and then as we get some experience under our belt, that'll inform us as to whether and if whether and what changes we might want to make to the legislation.
Great. Keep us
So,
in the loop.
what's that?
Keep us in the loop.
Yep, I definitely will.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 27 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Resolution 28.
Resolution confirming Justin R. Nadow's appointment as chairperson of the Troy Industrial Development Authority. Council President Mantello at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Gully. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 28 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Resolution 29 we passed. Resolution 30.
Resolution recognizing March 2020 as Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month in the city of Troy, sponsored by the Troy City Council.
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Zaluski. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Ash McPherson. And on the discussion, I want to thank my colleagues for joining me in this Think Differently and really recognizing just to be more aware, to educate folks, because believe it or not, we think we're all sensitive when it comes to folks with developmental disabilities, and there's still a stigma out there. There's still on websites just not enough information. You actually get to a restaurant or get to an event and it's not accessible. So this is just all about educating folks on the importance of inclusiveness, on accessibility, and just really recognizing that there's a lot of folks out there who have day-to-day challenges, and anything we can do to either get a handicap swing and even just think differently goes a long way. So I want to thank my colleagues for joining me in this effort. Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Resolution 30 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Resolution 31.
Resolution adopting Community Choice Aggregation Program Education and Outreach Plan and Customer Opt-out Letter. Council Member Cummings, Council President Mantello, Council Member Zaluski.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Councilmember Steele. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Gully. Discussion? I would just ask Councilmember Cummings real quick, the opt-out letter, that's going to be key. There was a couple major changes, just for full disclosure.
Yep, as mentioned at the Finance Committee, just, honestly, mostly rearranging the opt-out letter, but I will officially take it as a friendly amendment on the extent unless necessary. And, but yeah, it's a good letter. Thanks to the mayor's office for their work looking over it, making sure it all fits within their standards. And
Councilmember Cummings, I just think for the public, the timeline, so the mayor signs this, it goes out to bid, I believe, the end of April.
It'll go out to bid mid-April.
Mid-April. We get the bids back end of May-ish.
Decision by mid-May.
Decision mid-May. So then I would take it the committee meets.
Mid-May, so I'll just go through it. RFP will be back, the group will meet, make a decision within the 24 period, somewhere in there.
That's clear.
But, it's one
Yeah,
meeting.
I get it.
And at which point, the RFP and the energy supply agreement will be executed. All that mid-May, at which point a second round of education starts. This is another 60-day round of education. The first 30 days, similar to what was just done, but with more details and more hard facts. And then the opt-out letter goes out in the midst of that 60-day education period. And then there's 30 more days of education during that opt-out period, making sure people have the opportunity to opt out if and when they want to. And then enrollments will start sort of on a rolling basis at the end of that, depending on when your utility bill comes in. But in September, they'll start.
Okay.
Assuming all that sort of contingent on National Grid getting us all the data in a timely manner and therefore being able to put the RFP out as expected.
Okay. And then one last question before the vote. How are the other municipalities? Nobody has backed out yet, correct? And they're on target?
Yeah, Albany passed their local law on Monday.
Okay,
And I just got word Waterville just passed theirs like 45 minutes ago.
They
And
beat us.
They beat you by 45 minutes. They didn't have
Darn
their,
legislative
And
advice.
so
Mayor will sign it.
this you're the final municipality. If you do it, you'll be number 13.
Lucky 13.
We don't want to be number
We're
13.
I don't
Lucky
know, it's
number.
lucky. It's good.
Oh, boy.
A lot more people, you better move us up to number 1.
If Carmela had hired me to edit her speech, we would have beat all that.
I knew that was coming. Listen, I let people introduce themselves. That took 20 minutes right there. Further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 31 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
Resolution 30 is passed. Resolution 31, resolution 32.
Resolution of the City of Troy, New York, authorizing the negotiation, execution, and delivery of lease purchase agreements to finance the purchase of apparatus for fighting fires, including but not limited to firefighters' turnout gear. Council President Mantello requested the administration.
Do I have a motion? A lot of people. Councilmember Ash McPherson, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Salewski, discussion? Yes, Councilmember Cummings.
I just wanted to be certain, given the title, is there discussion of other apparatus under this agreement, or is that was how the template that was used?
No, we just put that in there to cover all contingencies that might come up.
All right.
It's just the turnout gear.
Yeah.
You
It's-
scared
it's-
me a
it's
little. I
broadly-
actually wrote down.
It's broadly written.
Yeah, it's for the bond.
It works.
Who wrote these resos?
Bond council.
Oh, okay.
Classic
I just do what I'm told.
It is Women's History Month.
You're gonna do what you're told.
Okay, further discussion. I just do want to say in all seriousness, this was a lot of work by a lot of people. Chief McMahon, you were pushing for this the whole time, and in the interim, you had the cleaning services, et cetera. But this is necessary, the second set of turnout gear. And I also want to thank the collaboration of the UFA, Eric Wisher, his folks. It was a great partnership. Let's do more. And, I'm just really thankful that this moved. Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution 32 passes 7 ayes, 0 noes.
I will take a motion to
Motion.
adjourn. Motion, Councilmember Gully, second, Councilmember Ash McPherson, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?